I never told anyone what I found in my apartment. Not my friends, not my family, and definitely not the police. At the time, I convinced myself it was nothing, just stress, just imagination, just a coincidence I didn't want to think about. But even now, years later, I still think about it almost every night. It started shortly after I moved into the place. The apartment was small, one bedroom, a narrow kitchen, and a living room that barely fit a couch and a desk. It was old, but clean, quiet, cheap. Too cheap, honestly. But I didn't ask many questions. The landlord was polite but distant. He handed me the keys, showed me the basics, and left quickly, like he didn't want to stay longer than necessary. The first week was uneventful. I unpacked, settled in, got used to the sounds of the building, pipes knocking, footsteps above me, normal stuff. Then I started noticing small things. At first it was just a smell, a faint metallic scent that came and went. I assumed it was the plumbing or maybe the old vents. Then objects started moving, not dramatically. Nothing that screamed danger, just subtle things. A chair that wasn't pushed in all the way, a cabinet door slightly open, my bathroom mirror angled differently than I remembered. I blame myself every time. I live alone. I forget things. It happens. Until one night, I came home and found the bedroom light on. I was certain I had turned it off. I stood in the doorway for a long moment, keys still in my hand, listening. The apartment was silent. No footsteps, no voices, nothing. I checked every room. Everything looked normal. I slept with the lights on that night. After that, I became more careful. I started taking mental notes of how I left things. Sometimes I even took photos on my phone before leaving. Most days, nothing changed. But every now and then, something was off. The photos didn't match reality. It was never obvious enough to prove anything, just enough to make me doubt myself. Then came the noises. Late at night, usually between 2 and 3 in the morning, I'd hear something near the hallway closet. A soft sound, like fabric shifting, or someone slowly exhaling. I told myself it was the building settling, old walls, old wood. Still, I stopped sleeping well. One night, I woke up to the sound of my phone vibrating. I hadn't set an alarm. The screen lit up my room with a dim glow. No notification, no call, just vibration. When I picked it up, the vibration stopped immediately. That was the first time I felt actual fear. Not panic, not shock, fear. The kind that sits quietly in your chest and refuses to leave. The next day, I decided to clean the apartment. I needed to feel in control again. I cleaned the kitchen, the bathroom, the bedroom. Finally, I opened the hallway closet. It was deeper than I remembered. The light barely reached the back, and the air inside felt colder than the rest of the apartment. That's when I noticed the panel. At the back wall, partially hidden behind a shelf, there was a thin wooden panel that didn't match the rest of the wall. It wasn't sealed properly. I touched it. It moved. My heart started racing. Behind the panel was a narrow space, not a full room, more like a crawl space between walls. Inside, I found a small box, metal, old, unlocked. I stood there for a long time before opening it. Inside were photos, printed photos of my apartment from angles that didn't make sense. Photos of my bedroom while I was asleep. Photos of me sitting at my desk. Photos of the hallway taken from inside the closet. Some were dated, dates from weeks before I moved in, and others after. At the bottom of the box was a notebook. The pages were filled with handwriting, neat, precise. It described daily routines, my routines, what time I left for work, what time I came back, what I watched, how long I stayed awake. One page ended with a single sentence. He notices changes now. I dropped the notebook. My hands were shaking so badly I had to sit down. I checked the apartment again, every corner, every door, nothing, no one. I packed a bag and left that night. I stayed at a hotel and barely slept. The next morning, I went to the police station. I didn't bring the box. I don't know why. I told them someone might have been entering my apartment. They asked about forced entry. There was none. They asked about cameras. There were none. They told me to change the locks and call if anything else happened. When I returned later that day, the panel in the closet was gone. The wall was solid, freshly painted. The box was gone. The photos, the notebook, everything. I moved out within a week. I didn't fight for my deposit. I didn't ask questions. I just left. Months passed. Life went on. I convinced myself it was some kind of sick prank or a misunderstanding. Then one night in my new apartment, I heard the same sound. Fabric shifting, a slow breath from the closet. I didn't open it. I never opened it. Instead, I moved again and again. I live somewhere new now. I never unpack fully. I never stay long. And every night before I sleep, I check my phone just to make sure it isn't vibrating for no reason.